Welcome, everybody, to the Table Rush Talk Show. I'm your host, Mischa Zvegenshoff, and in this episode, I had the privilege of sitting down with Rich Brooks, the pioneering mind behind Flyte New Media and the Agents of Change. With over 2 decades of leading the digital marketing space, Rich shared invaluable insights on SEO, social media, and mobile marketing to enhance online visibility. We delved into the Agents of Change Digital Marketing Summit, exploring its conception, the profound impact of hosting such a summit, and the myriad ways hosting a summit will serve you as a digital marketer, from networking opportunities to list building strategies. Enjoy this episode. Welcome, everybody, to the Table Rush Talk Show. Let's get started. Rich, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mischa, for having me. I'm very excited. This is the first time I've talked about the summit, and it is literally day one. We've just opened our doors, so it's just everything is hanging out there. So I'm an open book. Ask me anything.
Well, fantastic. Let's start with why the summit first off. What a great first starting question.
All right. I almost have to reverse a little bit, back up a little bit, just to say, so there's a brand that we created. I've been running my digital agency for over 26 years. And back in 2012, I decided to launch a new brand called the Agents of Change. So we have a digital marketing agency, Flyte New Media, and we do the work for our clients. But with the Agents of Change, I really wanted to kind of help other people become the best digital marketers they could become. And so, like you, I'm a big fan of podcasts. So I have a podcast that's been going. You're going to be on the show soon. Over 500 episodes, been doing that for over a decade. We also started with an in-person conference that we have every year here in Portland, Maine. And this year will be our 10th annual in-person conference. But I was looking for a way of doing more. And I always like challenging myself. I should say, I always like scaring myself. And so I decided that this year I was going to add something to our mix, and I was going to do our first ever virtual summit, which we're calling the Agents of Change Digital Marketing Summit. And it serves a number of purposes. One is there's just so many different things going on. I wanted to find ways of working with some of the people that I'd met over the last 20 years, but especially over the last few years, who I'm really enamored of, but I just couldn't find the right way for us to do something together. So I figured a virtual summit would be a great way of connecting with those people and showing them off to the world. That's always been kind of like the Agents of Change idea. It's like, what's working now? Who are the people doing it? And what should we be paying attention to that's coming down the line? So a lot of it was about, how do I get 30 people who I like and respect into the same virtual room and put together an event that's free for anybody to attend. And that was kind of the short version of how the Agents of Change Digital Marketing Summit came to be.
Amazing. And there's two great things about a summit. One is it's such an amazing way to serve an audience and to bring value and bring incredible content to people. So anybody listening, watching, by the way, you can go to theagentsofchange.com. Go to theagentsofchange.com, and you can follow along with us and see everything about the Agents of Change, the summit, the conference. Again, specifically, we're talking about the summit here, so you can see the speaker list, all that fun stuff. But again, the power of the summit is such a amazing way to serve your audience, bring amazing content, bring amazing speakers. But then there's also the networking opportunities that you get to do as the host, and networking with all these amazing speakers. And then there's also the list building opportunity, or a way to leverage other people's audiences. So perhaps, yeah, which of those two, which would you like to dive in first?
Well, there's that too. And then we can also talk about my other secret reason for having it, which was to promote our own conference. But let's start with, you mentioned the networking, and I think that's a great thing. So, whether you're just at the beginning of your career or you've been doing this like me for a while, it's always good to make new connections and strengthen those old connections. And so, I've been going to events for almost as long as I've been in business. I've hosted events, and I've got the podcast. So there's that connection. But still, it's great to be able to have a deeper conversation with people. And that's what I get from the summit. So I was able to have an initial conversation with over 70 different people who applied to present at the conference. Those were all great conversations. And even though not everybody could fit, I only had 30 spots. I was able to find people to come on my podcast so we could have deeper conversations and kind of shine the light on them. It was also great to reconnect with old friends. Like I hadn't talked to my friend Andrea Vall in forever, probably from before COVID, and I was able to get her onto the conference and talk to her. We were talking about John Lee Dumas right before we got started, able to connect with him again. A lot of people, I love their ideas. And so that idea of networking is really powerful. And in fact, just last night, we had our speakers kickoff meeting, which was a Zoom call where I got almost all the speakers were able to attend. And while I was there, one of the things that we asked is, what do you do? And what can you offer? And then what are you looking for? And one of the people who's a higher up person in Wix, the website building tool, was looking for help in developing some um, TikTok content and really kind of maximizing that. And we happen to have a TikTok expert on the call. So those two people were able to make that connection. So it's not just about the connection that I'm making with these people, it's also the connection that they're making with each other. So if your listeners are looking to like thinking, oh, well, the summit might be right for them, it's not just about the connections you're going to make, it's that you're going to kind of purposefully or by accident position yourself as a connector. And people will start to see you as that person, somebody worth seeking out, worth making connections to. And I'm not going to name names here, but one of the speakers who I think a lot of, like, I think they're a big name, came to me and said, how did you get John Lee Dumas? And I wanted to ask John to do something with me on this, but I was embarrassed to ask, how does one get in front of somebody like John? And I said, well, see if you have any mutual acquaintances like me. I would be happy to make an introduction, and I'm sure he would be happy to help you out. So it's positioning yourself where you can help other people. And then through the power of reciprocity, there'll always be an opportunity or a desire for them to help you back. So that's just one benefit of doing an event like this is bringing those people together and just watching the magic happen. Uh,
Amazing. Oh, go. Sorry.
I was gonna start talking about list building, but I wasn't sure if you had another question about some of the networking stuff.
I do. I do. I want to know the three questions you asked again at the beginning of your kickoff meeting, speaker kickoff meeting.
The three quick in terms of like, so we went around, we kind of like as a quasi networking thing where you basically said what you are and what you do, but then also the thing is what can you offer, as in what can you offer the other people on the call, and then what do you need. So a lot of the people, because they like to present or they have podcasts, were looking to get on other podcasts, become a podcast guest. They were looking to get on stage, so there was a lot of that kind of conversation as well. But then there were people who were specifically looking for help with one thing or another, and then, oh well, we've got an expert on that, let's put you two together.
Fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, let's dive into the list building.
Sure. So I'm sure every one of your listeners knows the importance of building an email list. I mean, social media, the algorithms change all the time. Yes, it's important. Search engine optimization, the algorithms change all the time, but your email list is something that you own. And your ability to get into somebody's inbox, probably the most valuable piece of property on the internet, the boardwalk of digital channels right there, right? That's critical. And so we have a list for agents of change, which is about 2 to 3,000 people. Not bad, not bad, not as good as I'd like it to be. We also have our Flyte new media list, which we've been building up for a long time. There's like 11,000 people on that. That's great. But by bringing in these 29 other speakers, 28 actually, because one of the guys works for me, 28 other speakers, each with their own audience, each with their own list, by working together, and if all of us are out there promoting this event and bringing people in, that helps all of us build our list. It certainly helps us because anybody who signs up for the summit, whether they go for one of the free passes or one of the paid VIP passes, they're now on our list, and it's opt-in. Obviously, they can unsubscribe, but as long as we're providing the kind of value they're looking for, they're going to stay on that list. And because these speakers are doing this, like I had two big goals for them that I wanted to help them out with, three really. But one was to help them build their own list. So I asked them each to tell us what their best lead magnet was, especially if it was relevant to their talk. And so not only are they mentioning it at the end of their presentation, but we've got a speakers page on the website, and all of their lead magnets are listed right under their names and bios. We're also going to be sending out to our lists, the list of each day's speaker and what their downloads are. We're going to try and do everything we can to build up their list as well. And because I'll be emceeing the entire event, even though the sessions themselves have been pre-recorded to avoid any sort of internet glitches, I'll also be reminding people to go to the website, and we're actually linking off to their websites. Go to their websites and download those, get on their mailing list. So there's list building benefits, not just for us, but also for all the speakers as well. And the other benefit that I wanted to give all the speakers is I want to get them business, because yes, email is great, list building is important, but having a big list doesn't necessarily directly pay the bills. So we also said, let's come up with a VIP, we'll call them power-ups. So if you want to, give me something of value, and we'll add it to our list for the VIP passes. And whenever anybody buys one, they'll unlock these power-ups. And one of them was one of my favorite tools out there for SEO is called Market Muse. And they are giving everybody who buys a ticket a $3,000 value, 3 months of their premium, I think it's called premium, access to their tool. Yeah, it's crazy. So for $149, you get 3 months of a tool that you'd have to pay $3,000 for to get in the real world. And I've been using this tool for a couple of years now. It really is a great SEO tool. So, I mean, just that, like those kind of values, those kind of power-ups, but also, so I think I got off track here. The benefit to the speaker for the power-ups is that they're going to have something that's of real value, that's going to bring those people into contact with them. Many of them like personal contact, either through membership groups or through Ask Me Anything type masterclasses and that sort of stuff. Those are the people who have shown that they're willing to spend money to become better marketers. And that's the audience I want to put in front of my speakers so that they can get more of that type of business. So there's a lot of mutual benefits to putting on an event like this for sure.
Yeah, amazing and fantastic job of describing it. And I love the detail that you're providing and talking about the value you're adding to the speakers strategically, tactically, how you want to make sure it's an amazing experience for them as well. So it's more than just like a lead gen opportunity. It's like, no, there's legitimate networking opportunities happening between the speakers. And then this audience that you're bringing, you're saying, hey, audience, like here are amazing opportunities for you to take advantage of the speaker services at a discounted price, perhaps free, over and above the ticket cost for the VIP ticket, for example. So I
Yeah.
love that. So cool. Very thoughtful, very strategic and tactical the way you're putting this together. Are you following somebody's summit program, or you've been involved in this so long yourself?
Yes.
Or yeah, go ahead.
I attended my friend Katie Brinkley put on a virtual summit, and through her, I was introduced to the woman that she had hired to kind of um, show her the way, so to speak, of how to put on a virtual summit. And so after 9+ years of putting on conferences, we kind of have a pretty good system in place, but the virtual event was new to us. So I hired a woman, Jenny Wright, and she's helped us with a lot of like the step-by-step processes, the scripts, how to organize things so it's easy for your speakers to find all their marketing collateral, all those sorts of things. And that's been valuable as well in terms of just getting us up to the top of the mountain for sure. So it is good to follow that sort of path. But in the same way that I tell my speakers, I gave them like 4 or 5 email scripts for certain times during the month of promotion. But I told them, like, you're more than welcome to copy and paste if you're really busy, but this is my voice, right? It may not resonate with your audience. So here's what I'm saying, and then feel free to make this your own. And I think that's also important. So, Jenny had some great scripts for us, some great ideas, but I had to make this at my own because a lot of the people who put on virtual summits are often selling some big ticket item at the end, like a $10,000 mastermind or something like that, and which is a great idea. but we don't have that kind of offer. For us, this has always been a brand that's kind of about helping people elevate to the next level. We don't want to lose money. It's also a feeder program for Flight New Media, so we get, benefits that way too. But we didn't have that big mastermind $10,000 sale at the end of it. So we had to change some things so that it was valuable to us as well as to our speakers, as well as to the attendees too.
Amazing. Couple quick questions for you. Did you have a goal as far as list building? My audience knows they need to build their email list. They're getting a great reminder right now. A lot of us forget. It's very powerful to have an email list. That is the traffic that we own ultimately. And if we're trying to serve at a higher level and really bring our message to market in a big way and be impactful, we've got to be growing our email list. So there's the selfish but altruistic reasons behind it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no,
with
it's a
that,
critical piece of the puzzle for sure. So I had two goals really in place. One was to get 2,000 people to register for the event, which I think is doable based on the size of our lists. And then also, in addition, all the speakers, hopefully promoting it to their lists and their audiences. As far as new subscribers, I would love to see 1,000 new subscribers on our list during this promotional period. I don't know that we'll get there, right? It's brand new to us. Maybe we blow it out of the water, maybe we come up short, but that's part of the goal is to kind of, you know, raise the awareness of agents of change. We've been doing this for over a decade and we kind of like slowly grew over time. And then if I'm being transparent, I feel like we kind of plateaued for a while. Maybe part of that was due to COVID because there was no longer a live event to kind of promote and it was just the podcast. Maybe we got distracted with other things because our digital agency kind of exploded during COVID because all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I guess I need a website. I guess I need some digital marketing, right? So we were barely keeping our heads above water, just trying to keep up with all the work that came in because of the pandemic. So now that the pandemic is quote unquote over and we're back to normal times, I'm taking a look at this brand, a brand that I love, this idea that both the audience and the speakers, as well as the illustrated characters that we have. If you go to the website, you'll see that we have these 6 agents of change. I'm a huge comic book fan. For anybody who's watching, if there's a video version, you'll see Spider-Man pillows, Spider-Man, all these sorts of comic book stuff in my. I love that whole idea. So we have these agents of change as well that are almost like superheroes, so to speak, superheroes for marketing. So I just wanted to elevate that. I wanted to kind of like bring this idea that we can all be agents of change within our own businesses and within our own communities.
beautiful. So you're hoping for 2,000 registrants, 1,000 new subscribers. So from the speakers that you bring in who are sharing with their audiences, you hope 1,000 people come from there, and then a
Absolutely,
thousand
yeah.
of your own audience will register as well.
Yes, and we're also doing ad campaigns as well. So we're just right before this call, I actually was meeting with my team about developing out digital market or digital advertising strategy for the next month. And, because of the type of event it is and because of the audience that we're going after, we decided to split our budget and half will go towards Facebook ads and then half are going to go towards LinkedIn ads because, we're a B2B company and we're looking to attract people with specific job titles. And like I said, I'll just pull back the curtain on this one. Part of the reason why we're putting on the event, the other maybe third leg of the stool, so to speak, is we do have this conference that we had put on hold because of the pandemic. We brought it back last year for the first year. We held it in a smaller space than we normally did because we weren't sure what the turnout was going to be. And we sold out that space, but now we're moving back to our original space, which is significantly bigger. So part of the whole idea of the summit is how can we elevate the brand to bring more people into our physical conference as well? Because I love to have a packed house. And we are in Maine, right? So for those of you who haven't been to Maine, It is not a very overpopulated state. The entire state has a single area code, 207. And most of the people in the state, 90% of them live probably within maybe 50 miles of Portland. There are places up north that don't even have town names, they just have numbers given to them by the lumber companies. I mean, that's what it's like to live in our state. So I need to bring in 400 to 450 marketers, owners, and entrepreneurs to this event. So we really need to kind of boost awareness for this event. And I thought that the summit could do part of that. So back to the advertising, we decided that rather than spread our advertising throughout the country or even throughout the world, because really anybody can attend this event, that our ad dollars would go towards New England, because my goal is to get more people to come up from Boston and Massachusetts, over from New Hampshire and Vermont, maybe up from Rhode Island, Connecticut also. I'm not saying that people can't come from all over. We welcome them, of course, but I've just discovered over the years that the conference itself does tend to attract a more local audience, no matter how we say it. Like for years, I was like, listen, you've been wanting to come to Maine for years, and now I've got something you can write off the whole trip as a business expense. That message fell flat. I don't know why. I love Maine. I can't understand why people wouldn't, jump on a flight right now, but it is what it is. So right now we're putting our focus for the conference on New England and primarily maybe 100 to 200 miles of Portland, Maine. So that's where a lot of the benefit, hopefully, of the summit will come from as well, raising that awareness, raising the excitement for the in-person event.
Awesome. So you're going to be running ads strategically to the New England zip codes or surrounding area of Maine. Pretty much all ad budget going towards the local area.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have in mailing lists that reach anybody in the world, and we have social media that reaches anywhere in the world. But if we're going to spend our ad dollars, we want to be very purposeful and mindful of where we're spending that money and what the benefits are. So right now, our plan is to focus the ad dollar spend strictly in New England, where we will benefit not just for the summit, but also for the conference as well.
I'm betting that you're going to have a lot more than 1,000 new uh, subscribers to your list. I can't imagine, but we'll see. More will be revealed.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe
see.
we'll,
I'll
yeah,
be happy to come back and give you the final numbers when we have them.
yeah. You're being very
Cautious
strategic and
or
tactical.
conservative. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd
yeah.
rather set the bar low, something that I know, okay, we're going to cover our bills, and then anything above that is great news, and then we can build from there. But this is year one for us, and it's, just it's challenging. So we're making best guesses, and then we're just trying to exceed them once we set them in place.
Fantastic. Do you have a revenue goal for your
Besides
for the
breaking
summit?
even, not including the thousands of hours I personally put into it. Um, it's really embarrassing. I should have a revenue goal, right? We do want to. I mean, I said not jokingly to my team, I don't want to lose money on this outside of the hours that we're putting into it, because I think of this also as a learning experience. I think of this as marketing, because I've seen over the years that sometimes when people will come to me and they say, "Hey, Rich, I want to talk to you about our business or our search rankings or our social media engagement," and we start that conversation and say, "By the way, how did you hear of us?" And the answer is often, "Oh, I've been attending the Agents of Change conference for years, and I'm finally ready for a new website, or I'm finally ready for SEO, I'm finally ready for digital ads." And because of this event that doesn't even carry the Flight New Media name, but that has raised our profile and gotten us into boardrooms and offices throughout Maine and beyond that we never would have accessed before. So it's been very beneficial for us that way as well.
Awesome. And do you have an idea of the numbers at all? I think I know the numbers
Oh,
a little bit. I've,
yes, you
I've done
asked me a
my,
question. So,
oh,
I mean, I think that, like, so our high price ticket is 300, our low price ticket is 150, and then of course there's free access for anybody who wants to attend live. Um, if I had a number in my head, I'd say I'd like to gross $10,000, which is not an extremely high number, but that would cover all of our expenses for this year from an ad standpoint, from hiring the person who helped us get here, and really in a couple pieces of software that we didn't have in our tech stack before that we have now. But that's my whole thing, is as I'm doing this, even though I'm complaining quietly to my girlfriend about how many hours is actually taking, I'm like, but I am going to do it again, because in my mind, I'm like, this was the most challenging year. But next year, we'll have learned all of our lessons. We'll already have the software in place. We'll have a process, and we'll be able to accelerate this whole process for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. Software in place. So software to run the summit. What software
Yeah,
are you
so the
talking
big
about? Yeah.
piece of software that we invested in this year is just ThriveCart. And the reason, and again, our consultant had suggested ThriveCart specifically because of the way the affiliate programs work in it. We wanted, and I started to tease this, but I think we moved on. So beyond helping them build their list, helping them build their business, there's also revenue streams for all of our speakers where they get 50% of any sale that comes through their affiliate code. So we gave them the affiliate codes. That's the one we asked them to go out and promote so that we can track it and give them 50% of any sale that they make. So that's another piece as well. What was your question again? I'm sorry, I keep on losing
Yeah, no,
the
no,
train
no.
here.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think first off, I just want to address the fact that we are, in effect, giving our listeners, the audience right now, a master class on how to do a summit. Literally the value of it, but also the intricacies of it, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So thank you
Right. So
so
we were talking about ThriveCart. So right. So
yeah.
that was the thing. The benefit of ThriveCart is the way that it tracks the speaker affiliate fee. So if somebody signs up through, say, your affiliate link, but they only go for the free pass, and then we convince them to upgrade to one of the paid passes a week or a month down the road, you'll still get credit for that. And that was a feature that I really liked because I really wanted the speakers to have an incentive to go out there and promote the event as well. So that was a nice feature. We didn't have that in our current WooCommerce setup, which is usually the e-commerce solution that we used in the past for conferences and other things that we might sell as well.
You are trying to attract certain job titles that jumped right out at me. So you're doing
Yeah.
some LinkedIn marketing. Tell me about the job titles and yeah.
Yeah. So for LinkedIn advertising, you can target by job title both on Facebook and LinkedIn. But the problem is like on Facebook, people don't necessarily sign up for Facebook with their business emails. So that becomes one tricky thing. They also don't necessarily update their job title on Facebook from 10 years ago when they first signed up for the service, right? So, but for LinkedIn, it's a very different situation. You're almost always updating your your job title, your position, your company that you work for on LinkedIn. That's almost the whole reason for being on there for a lot of people. So when we advertise on LinkedIn, even though it's a little bit more expensive per click because anything in B2B is usually a little bit more expensive, we know that we can go after directors of marketing or social media managers or marketing managers or entrepreneurs, whatever it is. Um, and we won't do this, but for this campaign, but for other of our clients, we can also target individual industries as well. So if you were doing a summit that targeted health professionals, that would be a great way to kind of just focus on that industry and then target within that industry for specific jobs to make sure that your ads were showing for exactly the kind of people who are likely to take action, exactly the kind of people that you had in mind when you created that summit.
So awesome. Let's let's I want to dive into I have this question for you and I think it's going to be awesome and it's how did you do the speaker outreach, find your speakers, but I'm thinking maybe we save that for later because I want to
Okay.
give you some time. Really, you've been so generous about talking about your summit and the value and the benefit and how to execute and all these things. But let's talk about perhaps the 30 seconds or less, why attend the summit? Like what's the summit about? What are people going to get out of it? Let's like sell me your summit now. How about that?
Sure, sure. Well, the Agents of Change has always been about real world businesses. So not necessarily somebody who's looking to become a YouTuber, but somebody who wants to use YouTube to grow their real world business. And that's what we're always trying to give people is really actionable skills. So if you are either the owner of the business and you like marketing, or it falls on your plate, or if you are a marketer at some level within your company, this is the event that we put on for you. And we've got experts in everything from how to set up the customer journey to different types of platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. We have things on branding because I think that's a step that a lot of businesses skip. They just jump in, they don't think about their branding and how they're going to be perceived. A number of sessions are either specifically about AI and marketing or how AI is changing some aspect of marketing as well. And because I've always talked about how important measurement is, we have several speakers talking about either conversion rate optimization. How do you take the traffic on your website and increase the number of people who move forward down your sales funnel or along the customer journey? And then also, how do you measure this? So Mercer is one of my favorite person, Chris Mercer, to turn to when it comes to things around GA4 and analytics. He's going to be one of our speakers. We've got somebody else who's going to be talking about how do you track the ROI of social media. And then I love SEO. So we have a number of speakers coming in and talking about different aspects of how do you rank higher in the search engines to attract your ideal customers when they are asking for your help at Google.
Awesome. Outside of Mercer, you have all these amazing speakers. Just off the top of your head, who are you most excited about in this moment? I understand it could change, but and no favoritism, but
I
who?
don't like to pick favorites, but some of the standout people, because I honestly like one of the things I've discovered is sometimes it's the up and comers who are really hungry and unknown who give the best presentations. And I've also seen people who are at the top of their game and they dial it in. So, but that being said, I mean, John Lee Dumas, I actually just recorded his session this morning. It was fantastic as always. One of the things that I'm most excited about is hearing from a woman who most people have never heard of. Her name is Ardith Albee. And she is somebody who creates personas for B2B companies. And she's going to talk about how to create personas that actually work. I've been talking to her on and off for about a year now, and she always blows my mind. Mike Kim, who wrote the book, You Are the Brand, one of my favorite people in the whole world. He does a great job about talking about how businesses are now moving away from hiring influencers and instead raising up people from within their own companies to become those acolytes for the company. And I think that's a really interesting way of twist or changing the way that we look at personal branding. Dana Milestoff is always very exciting to watch. She's the boss mom, and she just has great energy and great ideas about how you can create content that gets shared. Jeff Coyle is the guy who started Market Muse, one of my favorite SEO tools that comes with either of the paid package. That's really incredible. Kim Garst, I almost want to call her the Madonna of marketing because she reinvents herself like every 2 or 3 years and she's always on point. She's all in on AI right now and her content's always great. There's just, I mean, as I'm looking down there, there's just so many other people, some you've heard of and some that you haven't heard of. Oh, Melina Palmer may be a name that not everybody's familiar with, but she runs the Brainy Business podcast, and she talks a lot about neuromarketing, which is one of my favorite passions because I was a failed marketing person, failed psychology student in college before I moved on to become an English literature major, and the idea of what makes people make the decisions they make is always fascinating to me. And she's got a great session all about pricing, which is something that almost every entrepreneur I know struggles with. How do I price my products? And she comes at it from a neuromarketing approach that kind of says it's never about the price. It's about everything that comes before the price. I've already recorded that. That was another great session.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. Johnny Lee Dumas, is he talking about what's he talking about? Podcasting, obviously, or what's
No,
he?
he is. I mean, he's got some stuff that's about podcasting, but he's talking about the theme that he went through in his book, which is the common path to uncommon success. So he talks about how you find your niche, how you develop your avatar, how you create content on a regular basis, how you differentiate yourself from everybody else, and then how you scale up. It's hard to believe that he covers all of that in 30 minutes, but he does. Um, his content is really good. And it's the reason why I put him first in the summit because I really feel that he kind of sets the stage for everything that comes after. Because even though I run a digital marketing agency, even though I'm fascinated by all these different channels and everything that's coming new, I always like to kind of take a step back and say, like, have we created a plan for our success? Like, what is the mindset we need? Have we done our due diligence? Do we understand what our customers actually want? I think so many people just rush to have an answer that they haven't even heard the question yet. And so I think that this kind of sets the tone for the rest of the event. Yes, it's important to know TikTok marketing and email marketing and SEO and conversion rate optimization, 100%. All of those things are critically important, but none of it matters if you haven't answered those early questions first and figured out, what am I doing? Who am I serving? What are their needs? And how do I actually fulfill those needs for them?
And JLD's a genius at all that. So
He's great at that. Yeah, absolutely.
awesome. Who's the summit for?
I think the summit is for really anybody who's responsible for generating more leads or sales online. So if your position is about, if you hear from your boss or you just hear from yourself, I need to rank higher at the search. I need more traffic from Google. I need more engagement on social media. I need more sales and leads from my website. That's who this event is for. And like I said, it's free to attend. If you want to show up like I'm going to for 3 days straight and watch the entire thing, you can watch the entire thing for free, or come in, drop out, like those buses, tour buses that go around, hop on, hop off. Totally fine. But if you want to be able to watch every session on demand, plus the transcripts, plus downloadable audio, slide decks, and a whole bunch of VIP offers, then you're probably going to want to get one of our 2 VIP passes, and those are available with all the details and all the benefits on the website.
Awesome. Again, everybody, theagentsofchange.com. Go to theagentsofchange.com. You can click on the summit and everything you need is there. Tell us the dates.
Good point. I should mention that. It's going to be April 24th, 25th, and 26th. I'm here on the East Coast. I will literally be in the chair around 8:30, 8:45, maybe doing a little coffee clutch for anybody who wants to come early and just, shoot the breeze with me for a little bit. And I was starting to think, I've always got too many ideas in my head. I was thinking that Friday afternoon, I'll have been in that chair for about 9 hours a day, 3 days in a row, with only breaks to eat lunch and run to the bathroom when no one's looking. I was thinking that we might have a happy hour on Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. And anybody who wants to hang around, come with your beverage of choice, alcoholic, mocktail, whatever you like, and I'll just hold court until I get tired, and that'll be kind of like the wrap up for the entire event.
Beautiful. So you're going to be live introducing the recorded sessions. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes. And
Wonderful.
and because, Misha, because I trust you and your audience, like, I'm not promoting the fact that all of these sessions are pre-recorded, and this is more or less like a clip show, but that is how it's going to work. And I said originally, like, I want to put on a fully live event. And I talked to 2 people who put on summits, and they're like, no, you don't. And I'm like, no, it's so much more engaging. Then people can ask questions. They said, there's so many things that can and will go wrong when you do a live session. We did it our first year. Mercer told me this. He goes, we were live the first year, and I will never do that again. And I will, just side story. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to do a live event is because my mentor was Mike Stelzner, who runs Social Media Examiner. And I had been on a couple of his success summits, which virtual summits that were all done live. And they are such consummate professionals over at Social Media Examiner. So they're like, okay, so after we've approved your session, you need to print up all your slides in case, like, your connection goes down, all these sort of things. Here's the phone number you dial in on in case it does go down, and then we'll move your slides ahead, like all these. And I'm like, this will never happen. So by chance, I had a speaking gig earlier that day in Boston, and that I really wanted to do. So I called my brother up, who's a lawyer in Boston, and by chance, his offices are literally down the block from where I was speaking. So in the morning, I did this live presentation in Boston, and then I walked down the street to my brother's office. He wasn't there that day, but he had told everybody in the office, just let Rich go into the conference room and just do his presentation from there. They're like, yeah, that's fine. They set me up. About halfway into the presentation, the fire alarms start going off. And I'm like, I'm sure it's just a drill. I'm just going to keep going. And like, so people start filing out of the building, and they're looking at me. I'm like, I'm just waving them off. I'm like waving them off. I'm just keep talking. I'm keep talking. Probably in the background, you could hear, woo, all this sort of stuff. I'm like, I know it's just, it's a drill. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish this for Mike. That's when the firemen started coming in. And they're looking at me like, what the heck are you doing in here? Like there is an active fire. And I'm like, but I still don't know there's a fire. And I'm like, it's okay. Everything's fine. And I finish my presentation and I walk out of the room and the firemen are like, what are you doing? There is active fire in this building. I said, all right, I'm out of here, grabbed my stuff and walked out. But I wasn't about to let Mike down. So that was kind of like, yes, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, especially with 30 speakers. Somebody is going to have a problem. Maybe not to that degree, but someone's going to have a problem.
Yeah, most summits that we're seeing these days are 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 virtual pre-recorded, and even the live ones have a ton of pre-recorded content.
Yeah, it
Even the
just
heavy
makes
hitters
sense.
out there. Yeah, it just makes sense.
And I've heard that some people, some summits, they just release all the sessions on the same day and be like, here you go, watch it at your leisure. And I was like, that's not what I want to do because I want to bring people together. This is why we put on a live event. I want to get 400 plus people in a room together who are all passionate about growing their business, about leveraging digital marketing to reach their ideal customers. Basically, I like to throw a party and then have an excuse. So I like to throw this party, and the excuse is that we're all here to learn about digital marketing. Even when I got married, I'm like, I just want to have a party that we happen to be getting married in the same room. Like that's how I'm envisioning it. So that's kind of my approach. So I was like, I definitely don't want to just dump and run. Like I will be there for 3 days. I will be trying to engage people in conversation throughout. I will be live. I'll be having a ton of coffee. And I'll just try to make this as fun, as engaging as possible. Some of the speakers have already told me they are definitely showing up for their session. They want to be part of the conversation. They want to be in the chat room answering questions as the things go on. Fantastic. But when they can't do it, because a lot of them have other things going on, I'm going to be there to keep the conversation live. And I want people to feel like there's a real actual event going on, even if some of it has been recorded in the past.
Oh my gosh, what an awesome opportunity for the speaker themselves to show up and engage while their presentation is going. That is awesome. Is it going to be where if when I'm on, I can see the 400 people as well, so I can chat and engage, and there'll be
There will
banter
be a
and stuff
chat
like
room.
that?
Yeah, there'll be a chat room throughout. I will be on it at certain points. I'll be on camera. So some of it I might be typing, some of it I might not, or I may just pull some questions and respond to people in real time. I'll probably have somebody on my team at all times also responding and answering questions as best they can too. So somebody else will be at least behind the scenes. And then I was thinking, I've got this red couch in the background right here that actually, rather than me just sitting at my desk for 3 days straight, that I would be doing at least part of it, if not all of it, basically like, a couch on a talk show. And so I was thinking that I might bring in other members of my team. So like if we're watching the Facebook ads one, maybe bring in my Facebook ads person to answer any additional questions. Or what did you learn when you saw Andrea or John Loomer talking about this? Is that something that you've tried before? Just to make it as 3D as possible, as interactive as possible. And of course, there's the idea that I would like to position Flyte as a team of experts who can also help you when you need that kind of help.
Wow, this is awesome. I'm assuming they'll be evergreens. So if somebody's catching this episode in May, they can go to of
It
change.com
will
and
be
see
available
the
for at least a year. I mean, some of this stuff is going to be evergreen, like when I think of Tamsin Webster's content or John Lee Dumas's content, which is a lot about Tamsin talks a lot about brand messaging and how do you craft that perfect message. That doesn't go out of style. Then there's going to be other ones that are going to talk about TikTok or Facebook ads. Those change every 15 minutes. So that may not be as valuable. But yeah, we'll keep the content up for a year and people will be able to grab a ticket to watch on demand for any time during that period.
beautiful. Is an amazing event you're putting together, producing April's
I
20th.
hope so.
Yeah, I think you've brought in great speakers. I mean, just great speaker list. You've been thoughtful. You're bringing amazing value. You're obviously supporting the speakers in a massive way to make it easy for them to promote to their audience. You've got your existing audience. You're going to be doing some Facebook ads, some LinkedIn ads. I don't see how you can't have a ton of people there having fun, learning, growing, interacting, networking. I think the networking opportunities flowing through the chat will be awesome. I know on these types of things that just those opportunities. So super cool. let's talk about your company a little bit, and then I'll
Sure.
let you get back to producing your event. I know you're probably the emails are stacking up and the interviews are stacking up. The calendar appointments are stacking up, but let's talk about Flight Media. Am I
Yeah.
saying that right? Flight New
Flight
Media.
New
Yeah.
Media or just Flight is usually what we go by. But yeah, so this is an agency that I started back in 1999, no, 97, to put on basically I was just when I first started, I just liked digital. Like I just liked computers. And when I started like reading articles in the Boston Globe and the reporters were talking about the internet and I had no idea what they were talking about, I was angry that reporters knew more about computers than I did. So I went out, I bought a computer, I taught myself a little bit about how to get online. I worked at the time as a medical salesperson or salesperson for a medical supply company. When my boss wasn't looking, I built us a website. I even got a domain name for it and I showed him, and he's like, "This is great." He took me off the road because I was going out to the nursing homes and selling the products for him and put me in the office, which was not what I wanted to be doing. So I thanked him, but I left that job and I said, I'll just start a I'll start a web design company. It'll last 2 years. By that time, designers will learn to program or programmers will learn to design. I'll be out of a job, but it'll be fun for 2 years. That was 20, almost 27 years ago. So obviously, I figured some things out along the way. Um, and it's been a great ride. And we have some great clients right now. We're getting better and better, more interesting projects. I don't do anything anymore except stuff like this. I'm the guy who comes up with all the ideas while my team rolls their eyes at me, but I love doing it. And, so first I just did web design. Then I moved into development when all of a sudden the tools got better and I realized I'm a terrible designer. And then when I realized that I was being outclassed by the rest of the developers, I kind of pulled off of that. I started focusing on SEO and marketing. And even though I still love that, a few years ago, I just realized like I don't enjoy client facing work as much as I thought I did. And I'm not as good at it as the people I've hired to do it. So I took a step back from that and I focus on client relationships, biz dev. And I'd say my passion right now is about helping the people on my team elevate their skills, whatever that looks like. And I've really kind of embraced this idea of raising up my team and making this the most enjoyable job they've ever had, the most uh, growth they've ever experienced. And I think we're doing a good job by it. I've got some new people on my team, but I've also got 3 people on my team who have been with me for over 20 years. So either they're stuck here or they're just really enjoying their time here. You'll have to ask them.
We've got nowhere else to go.
Right, exactly. But so we're doing now these days, we're doing branding and design for some clients. We do uh, search engine optimization, paid search, paid social. Those are kind of our core things. We do some other stuff as well, but that's really where I'd probably say 80 to 90% of our business is in those categories right now.
Perfect customer out there for you.
Great question because we're not industry specific. We do a lot in hospitality because Maine is vacation land. So we just have a lot of local businesses that are, built on that. But we also do businesses we just started a chain of med spas that are just opening their doors in the next week or so. Brand new client of ours. We also do some stuff in healthcare as well. So there's not any specific size thing. What we've found is we've looked internally, like who are our best clients, who gives us the best business, who do we like working with the most. Our best contacts tend to be directors of marketing who work in small to medium sized businesses, have the trust of the owner to basically run their ship as they see fit. And they recognize that they don't have the bandwidth or the people on staff to get all the marketing done, to do all the measurement piece of it, and then to be able to report back. So they use us because I have people with deep expertise in those areas that I mentioned. And I would say, arguably, we are one of the best companies in Maine, if not New England, in terms of being able to create reports that really tell the story that these marketers are looking for. So,
Awesome. So it's let's take the med spa, your new client that you just onboarded or you're executing a strategy. What were they looking for? And you can keep this quick. So overall, but what
right,
were
high
they
level.
looking for? Yeah, what were they looking for? What are you providing? And then talk about the reporting that will validate that.
Yeah. So they are planning to roll out across New England, across the US. They've had a similar but different business that they've done this for. They came to us to help them with this launch. So their first office is going to be here in Portland, Maine. They already had their name, they already had some branding done, so we kind of just finished that up for them. We designed a website, and now as they're just about to open their doors, now we're running Facebook ads and Google ads for them. We've done some SEO and some local SEO. So basically, when anybody searches for any of the offerings that this brand new med spa offers, we want them to be seen. So that's a lot of what we're doing. And 6 months to a year, I forget what our agreement is for, we'll be running all their Facebook ads, all of their paid search ads, and then continually adding engine optimized content to their website. But that's just for this one store. So hopefully, as they continue to take this model and what they've learned and they roll it out, that we'll be able to grow and scale with them as well.
Amazing. And the 6 month to a year contract, obviously, that's so important, especially from my understanding with SEO and things like that, even Facebook ads. But you're creating this lift, this build, this lift, this build, this lift, this build. So if you are willing to give it some time and let it percolate and add to itself and grow and grow and grow, that's kind of the thought
Yeah.
process, yes?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you asked that because so a few years ago, most of our business was project based. We build a website, we get a ton of money for it, and then we'd have to go out and find another client. Even when we did SEO, it was like we did all the keyword research. We told you what words to put on what pages. Maybe we even wrote the copy for you, and then it was over, and we just hoped that you used it to the best of your ability. And it never worked out that way because people, unless they are search engine optimizers at heart, are never going to continue on that work. They just hope it worked that first time and they forget about it. As we've changed the way that we approach things and we now partner with people over 6 months, 12 months, and for many of our clients for over a decade, we've discovered that when we're in there and we're meeting with them monthly and we're talking with their director of marketing and saying, like, here's what we saw, here's how we read the tea leaves, this is what we want to try next month, that they're getting better results. They enjoy it better. And it helps us too, because now we know that we've got 6 months planned out. I don't need to go running around for another job, that we can put all of our focus and all our attention on how do we continue to build off of this success? Like, okay, you know what? This worked really well. What do you say we try these type of ads? Or what do you say we try this here? Or let's build you an email drip campaign. And because we built up some trust with them, they're more willing to give us the opportunity to try new things. Doesn't always work out, but that's part of experimentation. That's part of marketing. But I would much rather have fewer clients and have deeper relationships with them and really feel vested in their success than just trying to get 100 people in the door and then out the back door, 3 months later.
Hmm. Give me 30 seconds on the reporting because you said it's so powerful and
Yeah.
valuable. Yeah.
So everybody's on GA4 now, Google Analytics 4. I don't think that probably 1% of the population even looks at it, understands it, knows what it's telling. And part of the reason is because to get the most out of GA4, you really need to make it work for your website and for the customer journey that goes through your site. So one of the first things that we do is get an understanding of what the KPIs are for the website and set up GA4 to specifically track those type of activities. Also, for any ongoing client we have, we also set up Google Looker Studio, which kind of not only takes the information from your website, but you can pull in Facebook, you can pull in any social media, you can pull in your email, you can even pull in your sales reports and all have it in one document, one online document that our clients can go through and either just view or they can interact with, giving them dashboards of all their KPIs. I find that to be very helpful because most of us just don't have the time, especially when you get to like the ownership level, it's hard for us to focus on every detail. So to be able to see like, we're trending in the right direction, or we've got this missed opportunity or this gap over here is very helpful to kind of guiding people along the path of success. And so those things together, being able to do that reporting and then provide that kind of feedback back to them, that's where we see the most success.
Love it. Do you have a favorite customer success story? Could be new customer, old customer, or in
Well,
customer
this just
success.
happened the other day. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we are working with a company that puts on the midway for some of these big events like the Calgary Stampede and these big state fairs. And they came to us a few years ago, many years ago now, for a new website and some branding, and we put together the website for them. And it was really a B2C play. It was really a website that was focused on the customers who were coming to the Midway. And they came to us a few years ago and said, we're starting to rent out our rides to other type of events, like corporate events that want to have a merry-go-round, or they want to have a roller coaster, or they want to have this. Um, like even the things like the NFL draft, like these big events. And so we wrote 5 pages of SEO copy for that particular goal. And this was, again, back in the project day. So we just gave them the pages, put them up on the website. I was just talking to them a couple of weeks ago. They came back about some things. And one of the guys said, I want to thank you because those 5 pages, which they hadn't touched since we did it, they said, like a year ago, we had 0 leads from the website on this. And after you put up the pages, we had over 300 leads by the end of the year, which led to $1 million in sales. They spent about $2,000 on this SEO, by the way. Now, your mileage may vary, right? Your results may differ, but that was a great success story. I'm like, can I please get that as a testimonial? Because who wouldn't want to work with us if we could pull in those kind of results? But that's a great client, and that's a great success story for them too. And now they're coming back to us about possibly doing a whole bunch more SEO for them as well.
Fantastic. Rich, I know you're busy. I know you're chomping at the bit. You're producing a summit. I've done it myself, and I know they are a lot of work. Oh, the one key question. Let's I got to get this from you. Your speaker outreach, and then I'm gonna let
Yes.
you go. So you told me before we started here, hey, I have a relationship with Johnny Lee Dumas. I knew him before he was the podcaster that he is. So you obviously have some relationships with many of these speakers, I'm assuming. The speakers that you didn't have a relationship with, uh, maybe give me 2 or 3 minutes on how you targeted the speakers, how you reached out to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because for our conference, we've never had a call for speakers. Everybody always came off the guest list for our podcast. So I had already kind of built up some relationship with them. I wouldn't have thought to do it differently for the summit, but the woman who we hired had suggested that this is a great opportunity for you to get more people involved, to hear new voices, and just make better connections, which I think was probably the best piece of advice she gave us, actually. I was able to meet a lot of different digital marketing experts with all different ideas. And the way, so I reached out to some people who I had worked with in the past, Mike Kim, Dana Malstaff, John Lee Dumas. And I asked them, would you be interested in being part of this? I'd love to have you. And for those people, it was like, you're in if you want to be in, just tell me and you're in. But for most of the people, it was like, I'm trying to find, because I had some people who I absolutely loved. And I'm like, there's just not a role for you in this summit. It was also a balance of topics. Like, how do we hit on all the important things that I feel a digital marketer today needs to know about? What should people be paying attention to? And that's kind of how I did it. So some of it was name recognition, some of it was the topics that they were talking about. It was trying to find that balance is ultimately how I came up with that curated list of 30 experts who I trust, who I believe in, and who I follow. Or at least now I follow because some of them were new to me. And that's kind of how it all came together.
Fantastic. Um, Inevitably we'll hit stop. You'll go, oh, I wished I'd have said, or I meant to say, or anything that come to mind before we hit stop here.
I'm sure it will the minute we hit stop. But I would just say that like I can't under I can't understate how much work this summit has been. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been a lot of work. But even before the event has started, the benefits that I've gotten out of it in terms of like making connections with old friends, discovering new digital marketing voices that now I want to connect with. And then the energy that's coming off of this event just from the day one has made it all feel worth it. Now, talk to me on April 27th, see if I still feel the same way. But the bottom line is, if you're looking to build your brand and make connections with other industry leaders, a summit could be a very powerful tool. Just recognize that you are going to have to commit time to it to make it work for you, but it could be a big payoff in the end.
Beautiful, Rich. Thank you so much. Theagentsofchange.com. Everybody go check it out. The summit, you can click on it, and he's got other great content there as well. But you can register for the summit. There's some discounted pricing going on. By the time this goes live, perhaps it'll be there. More will be revealed. Rich, I'm going to hit stop and we'll say goodbye offline. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.